Starting off in D tier, we have Zenker, who was the bully at the party in episode 2 of season 6, and he's completely fodder. I mean, at best, you could say he's stronger than season 1 Kyler, since he's a college bully and Kyler is a high school bully, but Kyler also had training in sumo, so that could make up for that. So Zenker is at the bottom of the list, and Bert is slightly above him, as he should at least be able to keep up with season 1 Kyler, since he was actually able to overwhelm season 3 Mitch, and since he was able to do that, and Mitch was able to somewhat keep up with Kyler, though he does lose, he should scale around season 1 to season 3 Kyler level, and that Kyler should at least be stronger than Zenker, or not too far off to where, he probably wouldn't win. At the beginning of C tier, we have Nate, since he got into the top 12 unlike Bert, and Anthony Lapusso, who was actually able to keep up with Kenny and actually press him and even get some of his flags. However, Kenny is just able to easily overwhelm him when he actually starts trying, meaning he shouldn't be in the same tier as Kenny, or really even that close. However, he's still pretty strong, as Daniel at least considered him for the top 12. Even though that was pretty dumb, because it was his son, but he still was in consideration. Chris scales a little bit higher, as he just has better scaling, like in season 4, being able to press season 4 Kyler, and also just being in the top 12 as well, meaning he would still probably be around or even above the previous two. However, Kyler should probably still be above him, even though Kyler's pretty much the same as season 5. He was able to keep up with season 5 Hawk, and Chris just doesn't have feats like that. His best feat's just keeping up with Kyler in season 4, and Kyler had another season to train, and even if he's a bit rusty, I would still give this slight advantage to Kyler. And at the top of the tier is actually Mitch, as Mike Barnes actually complimented him for doing well in the competition. He even said he was muscles. I mean, he actually thought he had more raw physical strength than at least the people before him. If not, maybe even some of the people in the next tier, though he is very unskilled. I mean, he even lost to Bert in season 4, so that's pretty embarrassing. However, he also lost to Kyler too, but he should actually just be still pretty impressive to get that type of statement. To start off B tier, we have Sean, who was able to do well against Miguel and Robby, even making them double team him, though they clearly could have won by themselves, since Miguel was able to literally sweep him and then screw him up pretty easily actually. However, he's still pretty strong. I mean, he knocked down Robby with only like 2 attacks, which is pretty impressive. And physically, he's probably at the top of this tier, if not in the next tier. However, his skill is pretty terrible. Miguel and Robby didn't even get hit a single time. And there's also Devin, who pretty much admits inferiority with Kenny, since she needed to spike him with the laxative just to beat him. And, it's pretty obvious. I mean, Kenny literally defeated Hawk last season, so he should definitely be above Devin, who struggled to even defeat or even take on Tori in season 5, so she just doesn't have any scaling to put her above Kenny. Speaking of Kenny, he's right above them, as he just is better than Devin, like the previously stated reasons. And he defeated season 5 Hawk, though he needed the silver bullet, and he hasn't used it in season 6, meaning he likely doesn't use it anymore. Meaning he probably can't use it, and if he had the silver bullet, he would probably be at the top of this tier, if not make it into the next tier. We also have Dimitri, who was able to seemingly defeat Hawk this season. However, Hawk let him win, though he did press him pretty badly, even getting him into an arm lock, which is pretty impressive. So I would scale Dimitri above Kenny, as Kenny never shows relativity with Hawk this season, and Hawk could have just gotten stronger, which he likely did, though you could argue Kenny above if you think Hawk isn't that much stronger than what he was from season 5. This is very debatable, and one of the most debatable battles in the entire tier list I've made. And at the top of B tier, we have Hawk, who was able to defeat Dimitri, though he did let him win in the end due to being merciful. And we also have Young, which a lot of people think he's just fodder, but he should upscale the Cobra Kai women, and these women were stated by the writers that they're actually probably relative, if not stronger than Tori, but Tori has more spirit, and that's why she was chosen as the female champion, meaning he should actually upscale even base Tori, maybe even rage Tori from the fight against Sam. However, this is weird because this could just be death of the author, and he doesn't have any scaling at all, so this is me being kind of charitable with this scaling. Plus, Hawk was considered in the top 5 and was considered almost in the same level as the top 4, so he could also scale close to that level as well. Plus, I just think Hawk has the dog in him to actually just defeat Yun, who's just kind of a traditional fighter and a traditional dude who really follows tradition in the dojo, while Hawk's willing to do almost anything to win, even though he did give mercy to his friend, but he probably wouldn't to somebody from Cobra Kai. To start off A tier, we have Tori in her base form and Sam LaRusso. There is a narrative in the series that Tori would have won even without the rage boost, but I feel like it's not really consistent, as Sam, even against a rage Tori, can score points. So, I mean, unless the rage boost is just nothing, like a 0% increase or something, then I just think Sam would be above Tori in her base. Plus, in Season 5, she was above Tori, and there's nothing to say that Tori did any insane training that would put her above without the rage boost. Of course, I think that Sam isn't that much stronger, as they're all still at the 4 top tiers are at the same level as each other. So they're definitely all around the same tier, and that's why they're in the same tier on the tier list. As Rage, Tori would be slightly above, as she was able to beat down Sam and was about to literally probably just knock her out, not even just score the point. And Daniel had to save her, Sam LaRusso of course, so Tori would just scale pretty high. However, there's nothing to say that she would be above Miguel, who is next, who did lose to Robby. However, some people argue that he was mentally nerfed, but nothing in this series suggests this, and the writers literally stated that this was supposed to be like an episode power scaling the characters. Meaning, like, Miguel should be at his best, there's no reason for him not to be. He should be even more, like, focused in his match to get into his school. And of course, Miguel does have some interesting things in the spoilers. I'm not going to talk about that. That might actually make him a lot weaker than we think, but Miguel's pretty strong, and by the end of the Sekai Tekai, he will likely take down either Quan or Axel, who's the team leader of the Iron Dragons, who's one of the main teams, which is kind of a small spoiler, but I'm pretty sure most people know about that. And obviously, Robby would be slightly above Miguel due to being able to defeat him. And this is pretty close as a fight, as it's like going blow for blow, so Robby isn't like that much above Miguel. However, one person I thought of making an entire tier for was Quan, with how badly he does Young, and Young might actually scale to this tier if you want to highball him, meaning he might actually just get his own tier. However, Robby or Miguel will likely defeat him in the Sekai Tekai. I mean, they might adapt through the tournament and get stronger into that higher tier. However, Quan just doesn't have feats, so I can't really put him a tier above the kids until we see that. Again, there's just not enough evidence for that. However, Quan is still incredibly powerful. I mean, he defeated Young and 2 other Cobra Kais, who should scale around, if not above, maybe even base Tori if you highball them, which is pretty insane that he was able to beat 3 of them at the same time with only low difficulty. It's just extremely impressive, and he should definitely be at the top of the tier of this list, at least for the children of the series. To start out S tier, we have Kim Da-eun, who has terrible feats. Old Kreese is bullying her, as well as her grandfather, who's probably not that much above Kreese, as Kreese is able to tank his beatings from Kim Sung-young. Or you could have another interpretation that Kreese is just at his prime level, due to the symbolism of him being prime Kreese when he does many of his major feats during part 1 of season 6. And if you think that, then that would actually upscale Kim Da-eun, and she could still be strong. However, it's more likely that Kreese is just at his old level of strength, and that's more just his spirit from his prime coming back, and not his physical ability. That would be a little ridiculous, and like it's a little even too edgy for this show. And Kim Da-eun would just be at the bottom, and Kreese has no feats to put him really above anybody besides Kim Da-eun, so he would be stuck at this tier. As we then reach the mid tier of this tier, we have Mike Barnes, and a surprising one, which I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for from the casuals, Chosen. A lot of people find it weird that Johnny beat Mike Barnes, but Johnny, with his Rage Amp from Season 5, was able to do better than Mike Barnes against the senseis. So we should definitely upskill Mike Barnes, and him getting that power into his base would make sense, since Miguel always keeps his Resolve Amps, and Johnny is literally his father, so he would also probably do the same thing. Chosen was relative with Mike Barnes in Season 5, and there's nothing really implying that he surpassed Mike Barnes. I know there was the spar that they were planning on doing, but in the end, they were just like evenly matched because they were all suppressed and not going all out. And Chosen just does not have the scaling to put him above Johnny and Daniel this season. Again, his feats against Terry weren't that good, And there's even an interaction between Johnny and Chosen where they're comparing their feats during that night of him fighting Terry and Johnny fighting the senseis. And Johnny pretty much just wins in that his is considered more impressive. I mean, again, you would have to go watch the series for the statement because I can't play it due to copyright. But trust me, it happens in the series, and that's why Chosen's just below the two, but not by much. They're all very close in strength. And at the top of S, we have Daniel and Johnny, and they're basically equal. You could change them interchangeably. Personally, I have Johnny a little bit above, as I think he's probably going to be the one who fights Kim Sung-young in the Saikai Taikai. Well, Daniel will probably fight somebody else, maybe like Terry Silver, like a rematch. Apparently, Terry Silver might be coming back. Or he might just fight somebody else, like, I don't know, like any of the fodder captains. Johnny, again, this is Johnny's story, so I think he's the main character. He's going to fight the final boss of the series, and it would just narratively make more sense for Johnny to fight him. So I think Johnny would be slightly above Daniel, as they're probably not going to be getting any insane amps from this point till the Sensei division of the tournament. Meaning Johnny will probably be slightly stronger than Daniel, but they're basically equals, and you could really put Daniel above due to him low diffing Terry, which is pretty insane from Season 5. So again, this is just like personal preference, basically, or what you think the narrative is better for. So yeah, that's pretty much this tier. And the final person on the list is Kim Sung-young, and even old Kim Sung-young is probably stronger than even Johnny at this point, and he will likely get ganged up upon, or he'll have to fight multiple opponents in a row, as he's just the anti-Miyagi of the verse, so he's just the strongest. Even the writers said that he's the strongest, so he's just stronger than everybody else by a pretty good margin. Like, he's small building level, scaling to Miyagi, and everybody else is still in the wall level tier, so he's just the strongest tier. And that is the tier list. So if you want to hate on me and tell me, oh, you did this wrong, this was a stupid placement, then put that in the comments section so I can see. And if you really enjoyed it and want to hear me do more Cobra Kai tier list or content really, then I want to at least get 10 subscribers on this video, as this is out of my niche. So subscribe so I continue making Cobra Kai content. So thank you for watching. And yeah, that's the video.